Hello, everyone. Welcome to my universe. So, I think things are still looking mostly correct proportionally, other than maybe a little bit thick in the middle here. So I'll poke at that a bit more, but after that, I think it's time for me to kind of finalize the composition here and get her all sized correctly, so this way she does not have floating little leg stubs down here. Yeah, I gotta get rid of that. Oh yeah, that's right. I was also gonna start with the neck thing. I totally forgot. I think I was putting it out of my memory because, oh god, little frilly neck things, terrifying. But no, I reminded myself. So yeah, I wanted to start there. It's gonna be similar style to the one on her actual character, so I'm gonna stare at this for a second, and I'll go from there once I find the layer again. Man, I made a bunch of extra layers, didn't I? Sure did. Okay, well, let me clear some of those just so they're not in the way. And then I'm gonna stare at this, and in the meanwhile, so last Sunday, I said that my hand cramped up and I just could not move it anymore. That was very unfortunate. I think I have an idea of what was causing that. And I don't think it's anything serious. I just did a quick Google search, so, you know, naturally I'm taking all this with a grain of salt, but it seems likely. And it's kind of similar to what causes carpal tunnel, but I observed that for me, it was on the exact opposite fingers. Carpal tunnel is, you know, when you start pinching the little nerves in your wrist and you start feeling tingly stuff in your thumb and index finger kind of area. Mine was on the opposite end. Mine was on the pinky and to a lesser extent the ring finger. And it turns out that there is another similar nerve in your elbow. It's kind of, you know, where your funny bone is, and when you hit that, it sends all tingles up your arm, and it feels very weird and uncomfortable. So, I think, but just the way I've been sitting, I've been having a knee up and then resting my arm on that. Kind of pinched the nerve in the elbow there, and it was a little bit upset. So I've stopped doing that. Make it a point to do that, and doing all the things that the internet recommended to make that a little bit better. And it has been doing better, so with any luck, I'll be okay. But the past couple of days, I have had issues with my hand wearing out a little bit more quickly than usual. So I will see how long I can go. I am absolutely not going to push that because I don't want to hurt myself. I want to be able to draw for a long time. Fortunately, I've been able to go several hours before it starts bugging me too much. Maybe I should start from the bottom here. So basically all I'm saying, I don't think it's anything serious. It's just I gotta stop sitting funny. Let's not pinch nerves. That seems like a good idea. Sometimes I truly hate how much our body is connected to the things that we can actually do. It drives me nuts, man. I hate it. Hate it so much. But it is the reality, so I gotta take care of it. So once my hand starts saying no, I'll stop there, but I don't expect to have to end the stream early or anything because of it. Okay. So one thought that I had with just how I approach things is that maybe I should start from the bottom. Once again, I'm gonna try to keep this in frame just so I can kind of stare at it, use it as a reference, since I do want to draw something similar. But yeah, I thought, you know what, let's try starting at the bottom this time instead of on the top. What I have up there is okay. I'm not sure if I like these ones that are kind of underneath the initial top ones, but the top ones, I think they're okay. So I'll start there. And I'll see what happens. Okay. This is one of those things that I always feel like it shouldn't be as hard as I'm making it out to be, but dear lord, do I have trouble with it for some reason. Just one of those things. That they do happen. And it's always a little bit irritating. Just when it doesn't necessarily seem hard, but for whatever reason, I just cannot, for the life of me, wrap my head around it. I mentioned last time that one of my methods for drawing things is just to wait and draw shapes until I can kind of feel the cloth in my hand. And for whatever reason, that just never happens when I draw stuff like this. I can never quite feel it in my hand. And so it just never feels right. In ways that I'm just not sure how to describe, but it's alright. I get it eventually. So today, there's probably going to be a bit of flailing. And I don't really want to go and start the next thing until I have this the way I want it to be. I really don't. I want to get this before I do, before I move on. It has to be done eventually, so let's see how far I can get while my brain is fresh. With my hand being what it is right now, I didn't draw before stream. Always a little bit sad, but I wanted to make sure that I could go for as long as possible before my hand said no. So at this point, my brain is completely fresh, and we'll see if I can wrangle some ideas in it. Okay, well, I don't know. So far, so good. I think this looks alright so far. That looks pretty convincing. I do need to fix the shading in the middle, but that's okay. I can do that. Just gonna kinda... I want to exaggerate this last fold just a little bit more. I don't think we see very much of the backside on this side, so I'm gonna kind of lessen it a bit here. Then it'll come out. Okay, yeah. I'm starting to see it, maybe, if I squint. No, it doesn't go that way, it goes this way. So we see very, very little of that side, and that makes sense. Just due to the way she's turning, we see very little of that inner corner right there. Okay. No, that's fine. I might need to liquefy this to make it sit on her chest correctly, but that's okay. I can do that too. Let's just get the basic structure in, and maybe one day it'll stop confusing me so much. Alright, let's see. So from here... I think I might actually merge these layers together. I'm gonna get rid of the spots that I don't like. I'll try to keep the top part, but it might be cold for my convenience. Okay. So from there, it's gonna kinda come up this way. So, where does the shadow go here? Does it go up this way or the other way? I think it goes the other way. This way doesn't actually look that bad though. Let me take a look at this. But I don't think that's right. Yeah, it definitely goes the other way. So how does this continue upward and into the next layer? I don't know, does that look okay? No, that's backwards again. See, I told you guys we're gonna see a bunch of flailing today. I was able to get that easily, but now it's being very elusive. Okay, let's trace this a bit. So if I'm going from the bottom, you know, we get the little wiggle going up here, and then it's a little wiggle inward and it goes back out. But mine's not wiggling quite like that. We had that little curve, and then... Okay. So... we get something like this. Maybe. And then it'll wiggle a little bit out this way. Kind of come out. No, no, no. No, I think this is okay, actually. So this is like another little layer. It connects to the top of this part. And then it comes out into here. This is where it kind of connects together. And then it comes out again. Okay, I think I understand now. Yeah. I think I understand now. Okay. There we go. You know, breaking things down a little bit can help. And then we get the next layer. It's gonna kind of come up here. So this part will kind of come up and then connect with the next layer, which I guess is just going to be right about there. And then it'll come out. And up into here, where it will then have a little bit that kind of connects into the next layer over here. And then it'll come up and out. And we'll get something maybe a little floppier, since it doesn't have a connecting spot up top. Wrap around that way. And I guess that's fine. I mean, I still gotta get the other side, but I think it's passable for now. It should look okay when I clean it up a little bit more. Let's find out. So on this side, we're not going to see as much as these little underside parts here, because they're all going to be, like, on the back end. Oh boy, okay, so... I send it out like that. And we'll get the underside there. And it'll kind of come out and, in theory, let's see, how did I do this? I don't like how not poofy this part is, so let's make this poofier. It needs to have more round. Okay, that's a pretty good amount of round. Okay, and then out here. No, I'm doing it wrong. Okay, that's probably fine, and then we'll extend the shadow just a little bit further, just so that this way this layer will cast a shadow properly. God, now it's getting all wrinkled and kind of terrible. Oh, well, thank you. I've been working hard on it. So, Hello there, Katya. Okay. I have always struggled with just little bits of overlapping cloth, like on here. And, oh man. So I'm trying to figure out how these things work. Okay. So I know that the next layer will come up like this. No, it doesn't go that way. It doesn't. I do got this. It's just gonna take me a second. Alright, I always win in the end, but oh god, does it take me a second sometimes? No, I don't think that's good. This side looks okay, so I'm trying to figure out the same thing on this side. Okay. Yeah, all that seems fine. I mean, I do have to clean it up structurally a little bit more, I think, but that's a pretty good start. But man, this side, because it's gonna be turning differently. This side was easy, relatively speaking. Humu. Okay, because this side is going to be facing more outward. So I don't want it to look like it's turning down this way and caving in on the middle. It needs to go around that way. And right now it feels like a cave-in. So here we go. Let's just clear some of that. I just kind of want to start over. I think this one looks okay. Where I got started over here with just the little tiny bits here. I think this is all fine. Now I just gotta get it to turn the other direction, man. Currently, I hate everything. Okay. Let's just erase it. So I know that each pleat kind of connects up to there. I wonder if a little bit of hot pink will help me out here. Okay. So theoretically, this cloth should be kind of all pinching together right through there. So that'll be this little guy. I want a thinner line. It's fine if it's not perfectly straight and accurate. This is just a little thing to help me out here. And then the next one will come up, so theoretically I might want something like this. Okay. Yeah, I drew the whole thing. And congrats on starting to draw. Drawing is fun. I like it a lot. Okay. I think I actually have the wrong number of pleats here, but that's fine. I'll figure it out. So, if I'm saying that this one is coming up this way, and then down this way. But yeah, so if the question is, do I trace over 3D models or anything? No, I just draw it. Okay, this is working. Out here like this. Okay. I think I had the wrong number of pleats, but this is a start. This looks mostly correct to me. Let me count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh no, that actually is the right number. Nice. Okay. Yeah, that looks fine. Perfect. Okay, I figured it out. Yeah, that actually feels pretty okay. I do want to clean that up structurally. Oh, right, you're asking how did I make it. My process is pretty wild. So a lot of people start with like line sketches. I do not. I just go right in and start drawing things because, well, I mean, you're seeing it here. The way I draw things is I make a shape and then I refine it until it looks right. And occasionally I'll have little random guides and stuff to kind of help me out. But literally, I just flopped it down. And I measure everything mostly based on the head. And then I go in and I have a few landmarks I like to use. The big one here is the pinch in the side here, roughly around the waist. I find that very useful. So a lot of my characters tend to be a little bit over-exaggerated around the waist-hip area. I bend them really hard, and then I take it back as I need to. So, yeah, what you see is basically what you get. And I do have more time lapses on my channel here, and so you can see all that from the beginning. And of course, I also have playlists of all my live streams, and so you can get it with my commentary from the beginning as well. But yeah, I mean, what you're seeing here is just what I do. I just go in, I draw a shape, and then I refine it until it looks right. It can take me a little while before it does start looking right, but I do always get it. It's pretty rare that I just give up on a pose. It does happen, though. This one is relatively simple. Anyway, apologies for misreading your question. Reading is hard, okay? Alright, so now I'm kind of just refining what I had drawn here. Because this is the point where I need to actually get it a little bit more accurate structurally. I got it started, so now I can actually kind of see what I'm doing. And I work very cyclically. But yeah, now I understand. This may not look like understanding, but trust me, something has clicked in my head. So now I can fix it all up, and it'll probably look pretty alright. I don't actually think this is right, though. I think this part is actually not connected. It's connected on this side. I enjoy sharing my method of drawing things, though, because I don't see very many people that draw like me. So I'm always happy to share that there are alternatives to line art and making lines the way you might expect and all that kind of stuff. There's lots of different ways you can go about it. And the way I discovered this method here was I realized early on that when I looked at things, I didn't see outlines. I saw light. So I could see those large blocks of light and dark really easily. But if you asked me to make outlines of things, I couldn't make heads or tails of it. So I just started drawing with light, basically. So that is what I see. This does not make sense. This one needs to be underneath this one. Okay. And this is basically what I'm figuring out right now, of just how this should be put together. And this explains why I was having so much trouble figuring out certain parts earlier. So this one is going to be underneath this one. So this shadow is going to be just on that, and then this one's going to be underneath this one. And I do think we see a little bit of the bottom of some of this. So I think there's going to be like a little bit kind of coming out through all this. Let's make this nice and round and fluffy now. Okay, I think I can afford to connect all these now. Yeah, I don't think I need to keep all this on separate layers anymore while I was trying to figure out what the hell I was doing. Now all is well. Okay, and then most of this should be in light. So let's get some of that going. This one does not go all the way up. Okay. I think that's probably sufficient for what I need right now. I mean, naturally, doesn't look quite right still, but that's okay. Because it's gonna have another layer. It has these little black spots. And I have been hiding those for a long time, but it is time to make them real. And they're gonna be extra frilly, and it's gonna be fantastic. I have been looking forward to drawing this for a while. Guess I'll kill the glitter for now as well. And I just wanted some silly little frills around the edges of all this. Because frills make everything better. Okay. So we'll just let these guys kind of hang out around here, and I'll figure out how they connect in a little bit. I think this is fine for now. I just want to get the idea down. And then over here, I'll just kind of do each side together, I guess. Nah. I'm gonna get this side first. I changed my mind. There we go, just little wiggles. And I'll be able to make these make a little bit more sense once I get my shadow colors in. But this is fine for the time being. Let's just get it started. Kind of come down and around here, and out and over through here. And I'll just carry on like that. No, I don't think there's any point to doing it like this. I changed my mind. Okay. I need those shadow colors now. I was like, if I was just verifying design quality, what I was doing there was fine. But I'm not. I'm pretty confident in the design at this point. I like the design I made. So now I just care about actually getting things on there structurally. So you're going to be dark, and you're going to be light. Okay, so the next one will be dark. He's going to kind of come up and around here. And then out and over here. And I'll figure out how it all connects in just a little bit here. Now, this one is just going to be completely dark. Because it's on the shadow side. Okay, now I go back to having some parts light and some parts dark. Okay, I'm actually gonna up the opacity a little bit. I'll just remember it's supposed to be at 66% there. Easy enough number to remember. But I gotta get this a little bit neater than it currently is, because otherwise I'm just never gonna be able to actually see the frills and understand them. I must understand. Pretty hard to draw stuff if you don't understand them. Okay. Yeah, this is working. It's gotta be kind of hell to clean up, but that's okay. I'll figure it out later. That's the kind of hell that's gonna be perfect for future me, because present me doesn't want to deal with it. I'm just paying attention to which ones are getting hit by the light and which ones are going to be more in shadow. And the ones that go upward are the ones that I'm picturing being in light. So I'm just drawing that like that with many repeated shapes. And it's fine if they're a little scribbly for now. I will refine them later, like I said. Right now, I just want to get them on there doing stuff. And this is going to be interesting because it's been a while since I've tried to attach frills that are transparent. I'm actually wondering if they'd look better underneath here. No, not at all. Okay. So no, I can't really do anything to make my life easy, unfortunately. I just gotta draw them properly. Perfect job for future me. I'm sure future me will have a great time. It'll be fine. Okay. Should this really be this far down? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I do have the right number, but I think that this one needs to be higher up. This one too, actually. Trying to follow the angle that her chest is sitting at, so you can kind of tell, based on how I positioned her breasts here, that she's kind of leaning this way and across her shoulders too. So I'm going to try to kind of match that angle here. Here to maybe here. Try to get these a little bit more aligned. And pray this does not mess up everything I just drew. Oh, wouldn't that be unfortunate? Oh no, we're good. I understand now, so it's actually a lot easier than it was when I was first getting started. Yeah, no problem. Okay. Let's draw these again. And one of the reasons I'm keeping them kind of scribbly is because I know that part of these are going to be covered up by her cape. The part that drapes over her shoulders. So I don't want them to be too specific right now. I just want to make sure that I have them positioned on there and looking okay before I try to put the cape on. Back on more accurately. Okay, and that's fine. I'll just go ahead and leave it like that. And yeah, I can understand what I'm going for when I look at this, so it should be fine. Let's go ahead and turn her cape back on. Oh, it actually really doesn't cover up very much of this. Okay, well that's fine. Alright, so next. Yeah, I think I want to fix her waist a little bit. But after that, I think it is actually time to properly position her in here so she no longer has stubby little leg bits sticking out. That part should be off screen. Go ahead and put the flower back on. I think I'm actually going to move that flower over a little bit. There we go. Okay, let's fix up that waist. I still feel like she's looking a little chunky through there. I'm just thinking about how I want to go about it. Okay. I'm gonna turn off the skirty bit here. Just so I can properly see where her hips are. And you know what? I'm gonna turn off her arm too. Once again, just so I can properly see where the hips are. So if her belt is supposed to be kind of on the lower part of the waist, right below the belly button. Okay. First thing, I think I want to connect this a little bit more like that. And I did check the leg proportions today. I think they're good. I changed them a lot last time because she has really, really long legs. Well, not really, really long. I've seen longer, but she's not crony tier. But they're still longer than average. So I wanted to make sure that they were a good length, and I think they are. If I use my brush just to kind of measure things, I'm kind of trying to feel out where I think the bottom of her feet are going to be, and I think they're going to be like right about there. So you can see that they're pretty long. They're more than half her body by a long shot. So I think that this should be okay. I keep getting thrown off just by how low cut I made the suit portion. Normally when I draw one, you know, that the opening would be up here, but I put it down here for this one. And it's making her torso feel a little bit longer than I'm used to. You know, speaking of, I want to adjust her neck thing a little. I realized a while ago that I don't think that this is what an ascot is. Ascots are tied at the top, not drapey, if I recall correctly. Okay, so I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna skew it over a little so it looks like it falls off a little bit. I just want it to be a little bit more affected by gravity here. And this will make it look like it's sitting on her chest just a little bit more. A little bit more rotation here. Okay. And I'll just keep going back and forth on these things until I am satisfied. There we go. That looks like it's fallen off a little bit more now. Okay, I'm happy. Now maybe I can actually go and fix her waist like I've been talking about. Let's do it. So I think this side should come in a little bit more. What are you? Are you part of the leg then? Yes, you are. Kindly leave. Thank you. Okay. Let's see here. Alright, and then this hip should be a little bit lower, which I think is also contributing to making her look just a little bit chunky there. Okay, but that seems pretty okay. Let me drop the hip just a little bit more. Okay. And then I think that little bit sticking out is just part of her leg here. So I'll clear that, make that better. And what are you, friend? I'm gonna check all my red layers. It's like I already have the skirt part hidden, so I'm not actually sure what that is. Are you part of the background? No. What the heck are you? I don't want to leave that little smear there. That'd be terrible. Okay. Part of the mask. Ah, much better. Okay. Alright, let's go turn the layers back on. And I'll double check it again. But at this point, I think everything is fine enough that I can properly size her on the canvas now, and feel pretty good about that. So, let's do that. I get the feeling I'm gonna have to move this arm in order to make her fit, but that's okay. But I will do that once I'm happy with everything else. But yeah, I thought her proportions looked pretty good, so let's get her sized properly. So gonna zoom out, and I am just going to make her larger until I like the way her legs and head are positioned. This way she will look good from top to bottom. And I do have a particular place I want her head to be, so in that case, I'm actually gonna turn on the window. I told you. Last time, this window, it exists. It's real. It's just invisible for a little while because it was easier for me to see. But now it's back. And we can see it in all its all-existent glory. I have a particular place I want her head to be. Ah. In true Planckera string fashion, my nose is itchy. Okay. Man, I wish I knew why that happened. It's so weird. Alright. I'm just gonna go back and forth until I'm happy. I do want the cape to not go all the way to the bottom. I want you to be able to have an idea of how long it is. So I'm trying very hard to find the right ratio for all that. Because I also gotta make sure you don't see the bottom of her leg. No feet in this picture. Okay, and this is supposed to be just a short little end table. So I think it being a little bit less than waist height makes sense. And this window is supposed to be quite large. Very large and fancy, yes. Okay, and that should be good. And let's see, the part of the cape that's coming out here. Let me find it. I want to turn it a little and make sure that it is on screen. Okay, there we go. That's just important to just, I want to make it clear what each piece is and how they all fit together. So that's why I want to make sure that the bottom of the cape is showing. And, you know, some of these other things. But there we go. I think that is looking okay. I think compositionally it's fine. I just, you know, gotta get her arm back in the picture. Can't be bleeding over to the other side. Makes her look a little bit less casual about taking off the mask, but that's okay. We'll let her frame the window. I think that works fine. The window frames her, and she frames it back. And I think that just gotta be how it is in order to make her fit. And this arm is now a little bit too short. So I'm gonna go visit that layer. I think it's part of the suit and the body. And I'm just gonna take that elbow down a little bit. You're wondering how I do proportions? This is it. I flail until it looks right. Alright. Get that in there. And there we go. I think she is now on there pretty well. I think I want her to be just a little bit lower, though. Just the whole thing. Not bigger, just a little bit lower. Like I said, I have a particular place I want her head to be in the window. I want half of it to be on and half of it to be off. It makes more sense on this side. I did initially start on the dress side, but then I realized, this side has legs. So I should draw it first. Because I don't see where the legs are on this side quite as clearly. And it'll make it easier to make it a perfect mirror image. But yeah, on this side, it's like I was gonna have the black side be in the window, and it would contrast a little bit better. So I'm basing it based on that. Doesn't work quite as well on this side since the white side is the one that's in the window, but yeah, no, what can you do? It'll look good on the other side. Okay, right there. Let me actually check this. So what I'm checking for is just some stuff with the rule of thirds. And seeing if things are kind of in the position that I want them to be. Yeah, flower right on that cross. So that's perfect. Okay, cool. I will go ahead and leave it there then, and yeah, I guess I'll go finish off her hair. She has this braid that I've been hiding, because it's been kind of in the way while I was trying to figure out the rest of her body. But, now it's time. It's time to get that in the right spot. I'm not quite sure how I want to draw it right now, because I don't want it to cover up the flower, and I don't want it to cover up her hand, but I want it to be draping over her shoulder in theory. It's quite the thing to reconcile. I'm considering putting it on her other shoulder instead. I don't know, let's take a look at that. If I literally just move this to the other side. Let's see, the flower would be right under her ear. Right? No, I've actually been putting it on top of her ear. It would definitely have to be lower. Yeah, actually that works, and then I don't have to worry about how the arm connects to the body, and that just makes my life easier, so you know what? I think I'm gonna go with that. I will have to figure out something for here, though. Because I totally get why I wanted to do it this way before. Because now there's going to be this gap between her head and the window here, and it might look a little weird. What does her hair actually look like? Also, that's what her hair does in her model. It shows up on that side. I don't have to be beholden to that, though. I mean, I wasn't on this side, so... So at this point, this is a composition choice. So I'm just gonna try to figure out where it looks best, and unfortunately where it looks best really is on this side. The hair itself looks better on this side, but the flower looks way better on the other side. I wonder if there's a way I can reconcile that. Do I just put the flower on this side and then let her hair wrap around to that side? I guess I could. There's nothing stopping me. Let's try it. Okay, I don't like the way the flower there looks right now because I did cut off a lot of it. So I'm gonna go steal the one from the other side and try to make that look nice. So I'm just copying it and I'm gonna go paste it up here. Then I'll mirror it to the other side. And then I can move it around as I please. So we can have the flower there. And then I can pull some shenanigans in order to get it behind her neck and over to the other side. If I'm gonna do it like that, no, I can't do it like that. Never mind. Okay. So it's okay. There'll just be some shenanigans. I can deal with the occasional shenanigan. It's all good. That's gonna look weird for a second. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So we'll send it behind her, and I'll see if this looks okay. Or if this just looks weird. We gotta do some science. We gotta test it out and see how it looks in order to really know. But right now I'm leaning maybe looks a little bit weird. It's like, strictly speaking, I could just let it go behind her and not draw it on top, but I don't know, I kind of like having it on top. Okay, let's try a different pattern then. So we send it around like this instead. So that this way it doesn't overlap with too much of the flower. How long is her hair roughly? Yeah, I can make it a bit longer. And let her hand and her hips kind of push it out of the way a little bit more. Let's see, I think I need to scooch that flower over just a little bit more just to make sure that it comes out of the right part of her head here. But I guess that's fine. So on this side, I want her hair to be up, but on this side, I wanted a long braid. I thought it looked nice. I think I want the legs to be a little bit longer. I am probably going to be staring at things and being like, just occasionally. I think they're a little thick. I want to make them just a little bit thinner. Maybe a little bit more tilted. No. I have that right. Okay, let's see. Do I have all of the elements on at this point? I mean, I haven't drawn the trim and the buttons and the little brooch thing up there are not right yet. But I think I have everything else on. Yeah, okay. So once I put my shadows and stuff back on, it will look like this. Is this how I want it to look at the end? Yeah, you know, that, but better. So, basically, what I'm getting is this is all fine, and I think I can make this work. I don't even mind the little hole in the neck there at that angle. I think that's small enough that it'll be okay. Okay. So I already know roughly how I'm gonna do the braid. I want it to be a little bit thicker through here, I think. I'm just gonna get the big picture right now. And I think I want her arm to be moving it out of the way a little bit more. So let's see. Gonna grab this part. Mesh to really get that over there. I could do it with liquefy, but it would be a little bit harder. And then I want you to be curly. So this part is going to be done via liquefy. There we go. Let's get that little guy curly now. Gonna get some nice little curves and all that. Make it fun. Make it just look like it's having a great time, draping over her shoulder and derping around. And that, to an extent, her arm is kind of pushing it out of the way here. Okay. Yeah, that looks fine. I'm just gonna see if there's anything else I would like to do. Before it's time to make things look nice, and I can finally just finish off her face and hair. It's been sitting there taunting me for so long. But I wanted to make sure I had all the proportions right, because I knew I was gonna have to make her bigger. And I mean, you can see I made her considerably bigger. These used to be exact mirrors of each other, but they are no longer. They look pretty different now. This one's a lot bigger. But no, I think that's about how I want it to be. And I think that compositionally everything's fine, so I don't need to adjust the background until I'm ready to fully render it. So I think we're ready to go. Let's get in there. I'll go ahead and get my basic ideas onto the braid here before I fully go into rendering it. Let me see. So it's gonna be mostly white. I want a little bit of the black through here. And let's see, where's my shadow color? Right there. We're gonna have a little spot here. That's kind of where the braid meets. It'll finish right there, and then this will all be loose hair. It's gonna be very fluffy. Pictured. Fluffy. Okay. And then I'll just go ahead and get it all started. This is probably all going to be changed, but I just want to make it clear to myself that this is a braid, and there's going to be some black spots woven into it since her hair is two-toned. So that's quite important. Alright. So I'll just alternate a few of these into being black. And then for fun, we'll put in some black strands here and there. And then the black parts will have some white strands in it. And that's just what it'll look like. When it's all done. And then we'll make that look nicer a bit later. But yeah, I think that's the gist. And I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make the little tie at the end. The thing that's holding it all together. I'm gonna make it a flower. deciding on the color right now. I think gold should look good there. So we'll just put a little thing here, and it'll just end up being a little flower. Like much of the rest of her design there. And that should do it. I think I have all the elements in now. Let's doodle the trim on the suit at this point. You can see I had plans. They're kind of destroyed now, but the ideas are, at least to me, still clear within this scribble. Can you believe this is where stuff used to be when I initially did my initial sketch? I sure can't. Anyway, no point in keeping any of it. I'm just taking a look to make sure I'm not forgetting any ideas that I had. So this was gonna be gold with a white line going through it. And I guess while I'm here, I will fix the suit layer and put the little sleevey bits back in. Once I find it. God, I have too many layers. Okay, here we go. Cuff. It's back. Okay. Yeah, let's get everything in. This seems like a pretty good size for this. White stripe. And then I had some little flowery bits going around suit stuff here. So I'll put those back in. It was a little bit more like what I have here. So let's get the vine in. I don't like that. Let's try that again. That seems okay. And then there'll be little flowers. We'll have one here. One kind of coming out over here. Over here. And then I wanted some kind of coming off her legs there. Up to her, a little bit below the knee. And then a flower. And we'll just draw in the little flowers. They're going to be doodly right now. It's okay. I just want them to exist for the time being. Just remind myself of the design I have, make sure I still like it. And then I had some stuff that I wanted to put on the cape itself. So I'll start brushing that in. We're not going to see a lot of it, and the rest is going to be on the backside, so I think I'm going to keep this all empty on, well, the blue part here. Oh, speaking of, the cape has to be a little bit shorter. Because now you can't see the bottom, and I do think that being able to see the bottom is actually legit important. We're gonna make the cape a little bit shorter here. Okay, and in that case, the trim will be a little bit different because it's not gonna go all the way to the edge, and it's just gonna turn this way at some point. There we go. Yeah, now she's looking fancy. I'm actually considering getting rid of the flowers there. I think there's enough going on in this area that actually looks bad now. See, this is why I wanted to draw it. I wanted to check these things. So yeah, I don't actually like that anymore. I like keeping this part a little bit more muted, just so it's not looking too busy. And there is a lot going on in this area right here. So I think this is sufficient. I do like it on her pants, though. I think that looks great. Her pants were a little plain. And speaking of pants, I know that suit pants have this thing. Typically with how they're ironed. Let me go find her legs again. Where there's like a line going down the middle. And then one side is a little bit darker than the other. So I want to get that kind of thing going here. Something like that. That should be good. I think I'm ready. Let's get in there. Which means it's time to render hair. I had just freed myself last week from hair with Nitya. I still have a little bit more hair to do with her, I guess, but I had mostly finished it. And now we're right back to doing hair, because I swear to God, anime girls are like at least 70% hair. They always have so much hair. You know, as hair goes, she doesn't actually have that much. But dear Lord, I feel like it never ends. And the birthday picture I'm drawing for Ava off stream, it's time for me to render her hair now, and as hair goes, her hair is like the hair from hell. So I feel like I'm just always here, drawing hair, forever, and ever, and ever. Alright, well, let's get to it. So I largely have everything drawn, so this is just a matter of making it all look good. Just gotta smooth it all out now. Time to enter Zen hair rendering state. Otherwise I will go insane. Hello there, Kuhaku. Is it the first? I don't know, but it's up there. It's near the face, and I know the face tends to be... Oh, are you not on this layer? Am I on the... Oh dear, okay, well, okay. Hair does tend to come, though, because it's by the face, and faces will naturally attract attention. But they just have so much hair, I swear. You know what? I actually kind of want to see how this guy handles his hair vents. When you can actually see where they connect to the head. Yeah, like here. Oh no, it's actually quite flat. Fascinating. Okay. Yep, hers is covered, hers is covered, and hers is also covered. So I probably don't actually have to do that much then. Let me check one more thing. I'll probably do one of that actually. Is there any more? Okay. There is one character that he has drawn that has just the most epic hair vents. They are freaking huge. So I want to check her. Okay, yeah, he does add a little bit of hair texture on hers. Alright. So part of the reason that I wanted to draw this picture was I was referencing this one artist that I really liked. And so I am trying to look at his art and steal all his secrets and incorporate them into some of the stuff that I do. And I feel like anytime I'm not quite sure what to do in order to make something look good, I should just go and see how he did it. And that's exactly what I did here. Now, I'm not trying to make something that looks like what he does. I'm not trying to copy the style. I'm just using it for what you would call inspiration. That's the polite way to say that I'm stealing it. But I'm adapting it into what I'm doing. So I still want want it to look like how I like to do things. I'm just looking over there anytime I'm not quite sure. Because as far as I'm concerned, he has some of the most beautiful hair I have ever seen. So, I want to figure out what makes me like that and all that good stuff, and then incorporate it into what I am doing. Okay, let's make this a little bit more interesting. I don't want very many little highlights in there, but I do want a few. I gotta make sure it's following the direction of the hair, because the hair is going this way. So we'll just get a little bit of hair texture down there. And at some point, I'm gonna soften this up a little, but that's for later. That's good. If anything, that's a bit too much. So I'm gonna treat this a little bit more like I treat highlights. And I'll just kind of take some of that back. Let's see, does that look good? Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Let's smooth out the rest of this hair. The journey begins once again. If you draw anime girls, you will never be free from hair. It'll just always come back with a vengeance. Okay. And I want this layer to be handling all of the back of her hair here. So I'm gonna try to erase everything on this layer. Give me a little bit more control over everything and make it so that this way, when it comes time to fully render this and not just make the edges smooth, that I will have less to worry about once I lock the layer and can no longer color outside the lines. They draw what they think is really pretty. I think that's probably how it goes, and everyone loves really fluffy hair. I actually think it's interesting just how well anime distilled the most appealing parts of a person into an art style. It's like, I know that the kind of early founders of anime were kind of inspired by Disney, if I recall, who did something similar. But the way anime ended up doing it just exaggerated that up to 11. So they're gonna draw what they think is pretty or what they think is cool. Or both. And I am not surprised that it includes extremely fluffy hair. Yeah. Because fluffy hair is nice. It looks good, that's why I keep drawing it. That's alright. Just... You know, for a long time, I actually really did not like the way my hair looked. And I sat down for a while and tried a bunch of different things and eventually came up with a few ideas that I liked. And even here, you can see that I'm referencing another artist that I think draws really nicely. I like his hair and I like his clothes. So, it's pretty much always an evolving process. Just gotta draw more things, and then the ideas can come. Alright, there we go. That looks pretty fluffy. Let's see, I need to invert the colors on her head so I can see a little bit better. So she's gonna have a green face for a second, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Katya here is just gonna pretend to be a goblin for a little while. I think she'd make a good goblin, personally. Let's see, I don't think I want this on this layer, so I'm gonna move that to the back layer when the time comes. And the window is also in the way. Oh. Man, I'm surprised I managed to hit the button in time. How to mute the sneeze. Okay. Yeah, I think what I have drawn here all looks pretty good already. I kind of already figured out all of the structural details I was curious about, so at this point, it's largely just smoothing out the edges. I like to do that first, and then I will revisit the inside and get all that looking the way I want it. But first, I just like to make sure the outside is nice and clean. And this way I can just lock the layer and never have to worry about it again. It's great. Makes my life so much easier. I was wondering what that color was, but then I remembered that I lit all of this already. I don't normally do that early on. But I had things I wanted to try. So I had to look at it for a second there. It's like, huh, what was I doing? And for now, I'm not really worrying about messing up anything that I did in my sketch phase. It's fine. I'll fix it when it's all done. This is just about making it all look nice. And mostly the outer edge at this point. Not really concerning myself with what's inside for the time being. I find that trying to do too many things at once just confuses me and makes life harder, so gotta keep it simple. Okay, her eyes are in the way, so we're gonna take those away real quick. It's alright. She doesn't need to see right now. There we go. Now I can see, and you know, me being able to see is way more important right now. Fortunately, the edges don't look nearly as blurry as I feared, considering how much bigger I had to make her in order to make her fit on the screen well. For me, this process is always really slow. So, you know, might as well just take my time and enjoy the music. I do like my stream music. It's just a nice little fluffy piano. It's hard to go wrong with fluffy piano. This is where I finalize something. Sometimes I add loose strands now, sometimes I do it later. I'll probably do a little bit of both, some now, some later. Just whatever I think looks good. Okay. I gotta make sure I get that curve very nice, because this is an important little curve. It's really defining the shape of the rest of the hair. So I gotta make sure that curve is fantastic. These strands here, I want them to look good, but they're not as important. So it's fine. It's totally fine. Pretty much however they look will work out. Okay, so I think that's probably fine for those. I'll go ahead and get this side now. I'll get that part later. It's all good. I'm not too concerned with it. I just always wonder, the people that walk in, when I have things like inverted colors and her eyes just taken out, I always wonder what they think. Like, what the hell is this? But personally, I think it's kind of funny. I always think it looks kind of funny. And it helps keep me amused while I am just doing some things that are maybe a little bit more tedious. It helps. It definitely helps keep me sane. Just all the silliness. It's okay, you know? Everything looks bad until it doesn't. That's just how art is. I want to get that little curly strand back in there, because I thought he was nice. I just had to kill him temporarily. I was able to resuscitate it, so it's fine. Now it's better and stronger than ever. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, I think that's most of that little area, so I'll just keep going through the back. And in the meantime, I have been musing about some things. Let's see here. You know what? I need to invert the colors in her ears too. There we go. More goblinization. Here we are. The big thing that I've been musing about is what made certain authors choose the medium that they put their story in? So I was thinking about this regarding comics versus visual novels versus light novels versus more, traditional novels with no pictures and stuff. And what made them decide to go with that as opposed to some other choice that they had? Because I've been thinking about this for my own work too. For a while, I wanted to make a comic. I still kind of do, but I do not think I can draw fast enough to pull that off at this point. It would take me like 20 years in order to finish anything, and I'd rather not take that long. I don't mind taking a few, but 20 is a lot, and I'd like to make lots of things. So I've just been thinking about the pros and cons of other mediums. And I actually am kind of curious on what made people choose a, say, light novel format over just a traditional novel. Or, I think for visual novels, the choice is a little bit more obvious, because you have the option with those to either, introduce gameplay or have music and stuff like that, but light novels don't have that option. And then, of course, comics, regardless of origin. I'm just using comic, refer to Western comics, manga, manhwa, whatever you want it to be. It doesn't matter. They're all just comics in the end. I think there it's a little bit more clear because it was all about the art. But light novels kind of exist in this weird space where it has a little bit of art, but not a lot. Only for really important scenes or character introductions. So it's not completely using art to tell the story. There's no music and sound. So it's mostly just a novel, but with just a few pictures. And before I make any judgments on what makes people want to pick that format, I want to read a few. So I'll be doing that when it suits me. But I just found it interesting. It was a little bit easier to pin down for visual novels because they could either have gameplay, music, sound effects. The art also often does a little bit more. Sometimes it's animated for the ones that go hard on art. And you always have portraits on the screen with expressions and stuff. So I feel like that exists in a space between comics and novels as well. But then you have all the other stuff and potentially gameplay. So that's been my current musing. I am just interested in different storytelling mediums. I do still think that video games are severely underutilized as a storytelling medium because they are the only ones that really let the person reading the story, consuming the media, actually participate in it. And I think that can do interesting things, and a lot of people don't really do a lot with that. So I think there's a lot that can be done there. But I think that visual novels kind of exist closer to books than they do games. Even the ones that do have some gameplay. It's all very interesting stuff. I used to think about what different mediums did for art and what they let you do. Just a visual art, using analog mediums and the various types there. Even just different types of paint, whether you're using acrylic or oil or what have you. They all do slightly different things. And I just think it's all very interesting. And what makes people choose the tools that they use to actually go and make stuff. Now for me, I can tell you that I was always going to use digital because I think computers are great, and I cannot stand the smell of paint or the dust that comes with a lot of things like charcoal, pastels, or anything like that. Digital is nice and clean, and computers are fantastic, and I love them. You have to remember, I am a programmer, and I was a programmer longer than I was an artist. And I remember back in my early days, when I was just kind of starting to get into artistic stuff, a lot of the initial stuff I made was either collages, so I'd edit a bunch of pictures together to look like my characters, or web design for role-playing forums. And that's basically where I started. And of course, you know, web design is artistic programming. So, no surprises there. But I think it's all very interesting. Lots of different things to think about. I do want to get the shadow in here now, because if I don't, I'm gonna be confused later. So, there we go. That shadow's defining how this hair is curling. And that little curl right there, very important. So I want to make sure I understand it before I move on. And with just this, I do. So all is well. Normally I'd be doing this the other way, where the shadow part is the part going back. But in this case, it's kind of important to do it this way because the light source is behind her. I hid the window again, so the window's back to not quite existing. But there is going to be a window back there. And that's what's lighting her hair. So in this case, it's the part that's further away that ends up being lit more strongly. Man, I remember when I was drawing hair on the other side, I was like, yeah, it'll be fine. I'll be able to copy this to the other side, and I only have to draw it once. And then at some point I remembered that she has an asymmetrical hairstyle. And I cried. Not really. But, yeah, it does mean that I do have to completely redraw the hair on both sides. Deeply unfortunate, but yeah, it's fine. I'm so used to VTubers having very symmetrical hair, because it's easier to rig. So when I remembered that her hairstyle was actually asymmetrical, I was like, oh shoot. Well, life is hard. But I want to get it right. I don't want her hair to just magically swap places on her scalp just to make my life a little bit easier. It would look very silly. Alright, there we go. There's the bangs. Let's get the back of her hair here. Once again, it's actually not as blurry around the edges as I feared it would be when I initially made everything larger. So there's not that much to do, and I'm gonna do the braid after I do the rest of her head, because it is behind the rest of her head. And my process has always been, I do the parts further forward first. So foregrounds, hair, all that good stuff. And then I get the stuff further back. I just personally find it a little bit easier to deal with. Just means that once the parts further forward are done, I know which parts underneath I have to care about and which parts I can just, not worry about. Much easier than just worrying about literally everything. Okay, I think that's that part smoothed out, so there we go. Hair is smooth. Let's fix her head now. And I guess I can let her have her eyes back. I guess. Okay. So I'm gonna look at this for a second, and... stretch. I'm thinking about how to approach this, because I think this is where I'm gonna go stare at the artist I'm trying to emulate somewhat. What does his hair look like? Let's go stare at it a little. So the light source on her is coming from this direction, I can tell, because he's got some shiny highlights over here, and this side is all very dark. So... And, okay, so he's doing the eye transparency. I probably won't. I understand the decision to do it, and I might do it sometimes. We'll see if I change my mind by the time I'm done. But right now I kind of like the way it looks, with the hair being more solid. I'm just trying to get an idea of how this is lit. I think this shadow is coming from the scissors, actually. So I guess the light source is... I don't know, does that make sense? Or does he just add little shadows in there? He might. Let's go look at hers, because I think her hair is quite nice. So once again, light seems to be coming from over here, because we get the very strong highlights here. One moment, I got a cough. Okay. And so you can kind of see how the bangs are structured here. We got the big hair vents on the top here, kind of sitting on top of everything. And then we have this layer kind of existing inside the hair vents, curling over this way. And then these bangs underneath this bit here. So they're just underneath here. And most of this is actually pretty subtle. So if I look at the way that these strands are separated, the lines between them are actually pretty light. And then he's got some little random highlights going through that are just kind of small. So I think that these lines here are probably actually just his original lines. And all of this is just one big shape and shadow, with a little bit of highlight there. And then we have the bright highlights up there. And so all of this side is lit. And then we have this bit down here that's kind of curling away from her, so that's shadowed. But other than that, it's mostly just raw structure. So we have this big shape here, showing that the hair vents are sitting on top of this bang right there. And that these bright strands are sitting on top of whatever's back here. Okay. So despite looking very hair-like, it is mostly focused on the structure of it all. And large shadow shapes. So we have the light shape up here, and then we have the big shadow shape down here. Okay. Oh, why is it not zoom in? Why you gotta be like this? Did Krita freeze? Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm not sure what that was, but there we go. I was concerned for a moment. So let's see, if I were to take some of those ideas and kind of combine it with what I personally enjoy. I do enjoy some larger, more dramatic stuff. What I'd get is I should make these lines a bit thinner. And I think I will separate this out just a little bit. We'll send it all the way back. This guy, I think, can be a bit shorter. And I think we'll get something like that. And then I take this guy, and I really pay attention to where the curve of the hair is. And everything underneath that curve is just going to be dark. And then I'll let everything above it be light. So this is where the highlights are going to go when the time comes. I'll probably go ahead and draw them in pretty quickly, though. And so this hair is going to be mostly dark. I'm thinking about how I want to do this. So we're going to get a little... The window is behind her, so we're going to get a bit of light from this side. I already have that kind of defined here. And it's just going to kind of come up, and I'll just go ahead and put all of this in light for now. I'll figure out where some of the darker spots should be in order for it to look nice. And with the way I had this structured, I think I wanted this to be a bit of a separate strand. I even used the darkest color here. So I wanted to separate out this strand from the ones that were further back. I think I still like that. And then here, I think I'll add just a slightly darker spot there. And probably through here too. Just to break it up and make it a little bit more hair-like. And I do think that up here should be pretty dark. Where it all goes down. Okay, good. I do have the layer locked. I was concerned for a moment. Oh man, wouldn't that have been unfortunate. But otherwise, I think that what I have here is okay. And I think this looks okay. We had the big bright spot up there, and then it goes into much darker spots up near the part. And we'll adjust that a little bit. I think I want a little bit less of these kind of claw-like shapes coming out. This one gets to exist because it's separating the front bangs here from the back. And I just kind of want this to exist where the part really starts going down. So I'll scribble that in. I think that'll look pretty good. Yeah, I think I like that. Okay, let's go see it with the highlights on. So the highlights on this side, because of how I decided to do everything, are actually going to be a little bit higher. And I did not realize I had highlights on the back of the head there, so... let's be a little more precise with my selection, and I think I want them to be a little bit higher here. Okay. These ones are fine. But yeah, that kind of shape I think looks okay. And then if I'm feeling spicy, I can like take my brush at 50% and maybe add just some slightly darker ones in a few places here. And try to find the right opacity to get a good color for this. Okay, it's 40%. And we can add a few little guys through here. Kind of some of the shadow areas that I think kind of catch a little bit of light. Or, if nothing else, just look nice. Okay, yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I think that hair looks pretty fluffy. I'll probably add a few more loose strands here and there, but I think I'd like to render out this first. And then I can add a little bit of additional fluff. But I don't think this hair needs like a ton of movement. There's no wind or anything. So I don't need it to be like, you know, flying around and doing silly stuff like, I don't know, like this, and, you know, let it fly around and do floaty things. I don't think it needs that. Alright, so let's just smooth this out. Unfortunately, as anime girls go, she doesn't have that much hair. Ooh. Actually, before I do that, there was one last thing I wanted to look. Which parts are hard and which parts are soft? So, the difference between a hard shadow and a soft shadow, there's actually quite a lot here. So if we look at this one here, the difference between this light spot and this dark spot is pretty stark. There's not a lot of gradation here. There's a little bit. I see just a little transition color right there, but there's not a lot. There's even less right here. There's virtually none separating this one from this one. So this is a very, very hard line. Or a very, very hard shadow. Whereas if you look over here, the difference between this part and this part is very gradual. So you can see it's very, very soft. Okay, so that tells me I'm gonna render the hair here just like this first, because that's my comfort zone and that's what I'm gonna roll with. But I think afterward, what I want to try is softening up this area here and making this a little bit more of a gradual transition from this lighter color up here to this darker color down here. And after that, I might do some more gradients kind of over here as well. There's gonna be some science, basically. And I think I'm gonna do it on a separate layer because I'm scared. So, for now, let's just clean up what I have. This does mean that it's gonna take a little bit of extra time on something that is already pretty time-consuming in order to render this and then basically render it again. But you know what? This is science. It's science, so I gotta be ready to mess it up many times. And that's one great thing about digital, is that you can do that. You can set yourself up for failure perfectly. But it's okay. I mean, it sounds bad when I put it that way, but when I'm just trying things, that's basically what I'm doing. I am trying a bunch of different things, and I'm only gonna keep one. I'm only gonna keep one idea. And so the rest will be cold, and, you know, maybe I'll keep the ideas for future paintings. But ultimately, there's gonna be more failure than success here. And that's fine. That's what science is all about. That's what trying things is all about. And it's okay. So, by expending a little bit of extra work here, I can get this all nice and clean. And then I have lots of room for a lovely little playground to just go out and try things. So let's do some science together. Maybe not this time. My hand's actually feeling fine, so that's good. I'm hopeful that everything I've been doing for it will keep it nice and healthy. But yeah, let's go ahead and I'll just do hair the way I normally do it. I continue to be baffled at how soft his hair looks, despite how many hard lines he uses. So that bodes well for my current preferred process. Alright. So, I'm picturing this as just kind of being the side of her hair here. So, I'm spending a little bit of extra time getting this part right, because I do think it shows off the structure of her hair quite well. And then these little guys are just, you know, little loose strands. Just floating about. I do want that dark color there, but not at that exact spot, so I'm just going to cull it for now, and I'll move it to somewhere a little bit better. Like right here. And I'll keep this one pretty thin. This is a thin strand, so a thin shadow makes sense. It doesn't need to be anything big and grand. It's fine just like that. And then personally, I think that this part underneath her hair looks okay. I might add a little gradation to that too. Maybe put a little bit of her skin color up there. Blend it in a little bit. But that will be a job for science, and thus not right now. Okay. So now that I've gotten that side, I'll just continue across the bangs here. I really like her bangs. I think they look nice. And I like the way I drew them. I think they're quite fluffy. Fluffy bangs make me happy. They really do. I'm actually wondering if this would look good as a darker color. You know, I think it does. I'm gonna try to make my life as easy as I can and use a selection for that, but I will have to go over it just because, I mean, look at those edges there. They look a little bit jagged. And I never like the way that looks. So I'm gonna just go over them real quick. And we'll see what I end up liking. I like that, though. I don't think I want them to be that dark everywhere, but right there, I think, is great. Just a little bit of a darker spot to show the side there. This does make them look a little bit thick, so I'll have to add a little bit of loose strands to make that a little fluffier. But that's fine. This is fine for now. For now. So the bit that I'm adding here is basically the equivalent of the artist's lines. So I'm gonna keep them fairly delicate and line-like. Some of them will be thicker just because I don't think it'll look very good if I don't, but we'll see what happens. For now, let's just get this all smooth, and then I'll figure out how it should be softened. But I believe in myself. I think I can get this looking real soft when the time comes. There we go, okay. And like I said, I am going to smooth out everything, even stuff that I plan to blend later. I am gonna give myself lots of room to experiment. So that does mean spending a little bit of extra time smoothing out things that won't matter in the grand scheme of things. And that's fine. It's totally fine. Okay. I've apparently decided that there's a big gap in the hair here, so I think I'm actually going to use the darker color. We'll make this one really dark. And just let that big gap exist as it is. And I do think it breaks up the hair nicely. So I think this is a good spot for it. I do think it's a little bit thick though, so I'm gonna pull that back a little. And go from there, and then I'll worry about that highlight right there. I do tend to focus on shadows a little bit more than highlights. Until it's highlight time. I don't know why I like doing them first, I just do. Couldn't tell you. It's what I'm used to, I suppose. Okay. I think I want another little shadow just right here. But it's gonna be... I'm actually using the lighter color for this one, because I think it looks good against the highlights. And no, I wanted to follow the shape of this hair, not this one. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Yeah, I think that's good. I'll clean it up a little bit more, but I want to finish off this one first. Another case of, why did I switch away from this? Couldn't tell ya. My brain felt like it, and I let it be whimsy, and go where it wanted to go. And I do that a lot. It's all good. It doesn't matter what order I do things in to an extent. I kinda wish I put this on a separate layer, if I'm being honest, but I didn't, so now I have to live with that choice. Like, I could do it now, but man, I've come this far, I don't feel like changing it. It's fine. It's totally fine. Since this is now is a big gap between the hair here, I am gonna go ahead and let this highlight be a little bit longer than it was before. Gotta go all the way up here now. That is not the right color. There we go. Okay. So let's see. Just gonna smooth all that out. Nice and smooth. Nice and pretty. And I want a little bit of the shadow here, but this one can be pretty little. I'm gonna keep it really skinny. Very faint. Yeah, I think that works. Okay, now we're getting into the place where I have a lot of bigger highlights. I think they're looking pretty alright. I'll let this one continue out a little bit further. I'll add a few little hair strands too, just because, well, it is hair, so let's make it strandy. Put a little bit of hair texture in there. Now it's just a matter of smoothing out this last little bit, and then I get to go to the other side. Smooth out more hair. Because it feels like there's always more hair. Always. I will never be free from hair. It just always comes back. The hair just... it's never finished, I swear. Because even once this is done, one of the last things I do when I draw a character is I go and do some atmospheric lighting and stuff. And in order to make that work, I have to do a bunch of special shading on the hair. So it's also one of the last things that I do. It's one of the first and one of the last, simultaneously. Okay, hold on, my nose itches super bad. There's just something about streaming that makes my nose super itchy. It is the only time it happens. Literally the only time. Even if I'm talking for long periods of time, with just normal people, you know, out in real life and stuff, no, my nose doesn't itch. So I have no idea why it does this. It's a curse, I tell ya. I wonder if I angered an ancient mummy or something, and they're just like, yes, your nose shall itch every time you try to do a live stream. Mwahaha. Wonder some of the mummies in museums are just having their mummy's curse diluted to everyone that comes through. And so they only get cursed by doing very minor, inconvenient things at very specific times. Yes, I'm gonna go with this theory. I went to one too many museums, and now I'm just eternally cursed to have an itchy nose while I stream. Okay, I need to smooth out the edge a little bit here. I'm not quite happy with it. Little bit of blurriness right here, and it's also not appropriately round. And I mean, I can deal with a little bit of blurriness here and there, but not being sufficiently round is just unforgivable, so I gotta go fix it. The curves must be nice. Okay. There we go. That's better. So now I can go back to smoothing out these little strands. I'm getting some ideas for how to incorporate this into how I normally draw things, and part of me is missing how I normally draw things. So, you know, I think it's a good sign. I do. So hopefully in the next drawing I do, I'll be able to do some very nice things. I already know exactly what I'm gonna draw after Katya here. Exactly. It's been sitting in my head for a little while now, so I look forward to showing it off. Alright, for the time being, let's get this nice and smooth. Have some nice little kind of triangular shapes in there. Triangles are great for hair. Triangles are great in general. I do like me some triangles. But they're especially good in hair. Hair and clothes, I think, get the most use out of triangles. I always think it's funny just how scared of math a lot of people are, and yet, you know, math is fantastic, and it'll let you do a lot of things. And I will always talk about shapes and stuff, because I think they're great, and shapes are math, in the end. Okay. So now to figure out how to do this side. This side I was a little bit less confident in. I really do like all this dark stuff by her eyes, though. I think that looks pretty nice. So you know what? I think I'm just gonna call what I have good, and I'm just gonna smooth it. I kind of want this to continue over here a little bit. This is supposed to be like the same bit of hair here, so I want it to keep going. And we'll just let this bit really cut in there. Yeah, I think that looks good. Okay. I'm debating which way I want the shadows to go on this side. Because the main light source, let me turn on the window actually. It might help me picture it. So it's like the main light source is over here. This is where the majority of the window is. But you can see that this part is peeking from behind her ear. So there is still a considerable window on this side of her head too. But I guess if I think in terms of planes, I don't think that... You can see it in her face, actually. That this side is lit and this side really isn't. So this side is getting hit more strongly by the window. So I think I should treat this as being a little bit more in shadow. Okay, seems legit. I am considering if I want something between my shadow color and my base color like I did over here, because my main shadow color was this one, and then I just put something kind of in the middle of my base color and the shadow and got this, and I thought that looked really nice. So I think I might want to do that here too. And maybe have that go all the way down to the bottom. It might make her hair look a little bit softer. Let's see what it looks like. So I'm gonna take my shadow color here, set my brush's opacity to about 50, and see what color I get. I think if I'm gonna do this, I want it to be a little bit lighter than that, so I'll try 40. Yeah, that color looks alright. Now I'll take that, and I'll continue this shape here. And we'll just make everything down here shadowed. And then I can put the deeper shadows kind of between the strands. And I think that'll look nice. I'm just gonna sketch it in a little. See if I change my mind. Once I'm actually able to see it. But no, I think I like this. It does add a little bit less contrast between the strands, but I think that's actually okay here. I don't think they need to be super contrasty right there specifically, and I can use the highlights to introduce some nice contrast. And then on this side, I can actually make the shadows a little bit less prominent Actually, I should do that everywhere. I put these all in the wrong spot. I want them on this side, because the light's coming from this direction over here. So once again, I'm just gonna sketch those guys in. And then when I get to the edge over here, I think I can actually continue this lighter part a little bit further down. I still want this to be mostly in shadow, so I'm not going to add like a super bright highlight or anything. I do think that this dark shadow through here looks really nice though. And so I can just use that as a kind of a subtle highlight. And then these I think are all fine. And maybe down here, since this part is a little bit behind her ears, we can add just a few shadows to really bring out the power of those highlights. Okay, yeah, I think I like this. Different from what I had initially planned, but I think it works, so I'm gonna roll with it. I think that color might be a little bit too dark, actually, so let's use kind of my in-between color through here, and then my shadow color through here. Yeah, that looks like it's a little bit of a better transition there. And it should look good once I turn the highlights back on. So let's see what that looks like. I'm gonna turn them back on briefly here. Yeah, and then I can do a little bit more playing with the highlights out on this side here. And I don't think this one should be lit quite this much, but I will clean that up a little bit later. I like this. Okay, I'm gonna clean this version up. Oops, no, wrong layer to hide. We're not gonna let her be bald. Okay. So now, just gotta go through each of these and get them nice and smooth too. I don't think I want to do a bunch of science today. I might do a little bit of science. But it's kind of hard to science properly when your brain's a little bit tired. And just getting some of this down is proving to be a little bit more mentally taxing than I initially expected. Even though I wasn't really planning on doing science for this part that I'm working on right now, all the smoothing, it ended up happening anyway, because that's just what happens when I'm in a science mood and when I'm planning on trying things. So it was kind of inevitable. It's okay. We can get this just right next time, and there's still plenty of other things that I can mess around with here. I'm feeling pretty confident that this is where her hair is going to end up, so, you know, maybe I'll add some of the loose strands as well, and that'll be helpful when it comes time for proper science. And failing that, I can go do some stuff with her face. Still plenty of stuff to work on here. But I guess to be fair, it probably will take me a good amount of time to actually smooth all this out, because man, There's a lot of hair, and I'm being very particular about it. I personally think it's a good way to be. I like being particular about things. To an extent, I suppose. But for faces, I think it's worth being a little bit particular about them. Alright. You know, if I can take some of this to the style that I've been using lately, I think I'll be able to make some really nice looking hair. I am already getting ideas. Okay, let's smooth out this highlight here. And then I think that'll do it. For this lower part, at least. Then I can worry about that upper part. Yeah, I'm kind of excited to try some things out here. It's funny, for a while since I was having such a hard time getting her proportions and various things like that right. It was actually really hard for me to get into drawing this one. I really liked the idea though, so I was kind of glad that I was streaming it because it really forced me to sit down and work on it. And now I think it's finally getting to the point where I actually kind of like what I'm looking at, so it's pretty easy to work on. There's always that point for me where, for a really long time, it can be kind of hard to work on it. I kind of have to psych myself up a little. But after a while, once things start kind of coming together, that doesn't happen anymore, and it becomes very easy to just kind of get started. And this one stayed in limbo for a while, but now it's reaching the point where I do like what I'm seeing here, and I'm kind of excited to try some things with it. Prior to today, it was largely just surviving on that I liked the designs that I came up with, and I thought that they looked nice, and I was looking forward to seeing them finished. But now I actually like the way the art itself looks, so it'll make it a bit easier for me to work on. The drawing that I've been working on off stream was also like that, and it was really hard to work on for a while. But I don't know, then I just made something work, and I'm like, oh no, this is cool, let's do it. I knew I could believe in this pose. It's hard to go wrong with full moons, making stuff dramatic and cool. And, you know, I was able to believe in that. But now I actually like looking at the drawing. That's always a nice time. No wonder things looked weird. Okay. I didn't realize that I was painting at 133% this entire time. I'm not sure how I managed to get it to look good while I was at 133%. I tend to always hate it when it's at 103% no matter how hard I try, so you know, this bodes well. The fact that I could use the worst zoom point and still have it look nice. Okay. I'll take it. I've seen a fair number of people, you know, very concerned that they don't really like their art and what to do about it. And you know, to that, I say don't worry about it. It'll come. And it's also entirely possible that when you start a picture, you're just not gonna like it for a while. It happens to me all the time. I generally expect it at this point. It's very, very rare that I like the drawing from the beginning. I can't even remember the last time it happened where I just drew it and I'm just like, yeah, this is brilliant. No, that never happens to me. That's why I say, you know, don't worry about it. After a while, your skills grow, for one, and then for two, it's pretty normal for drawings to look really bad at the beginning. That's why they're not done. That's why there's still more to work on. That's all good. Don't worry about it. It's entirely possible that the picture will start looking better to your eyes. I also do say in a somewhat contradictory way that if it's not good at the beginning, rendering it isn't going to help. And that's true to an extent. But it's a different kind of bad, alright? There's a difference between unfinished and a idea that is just either not conveyed properly or just isn't gonna work. And picking out the difference between those is tricky. That's why I ended up redrawing my drawing of Nitya that I'm doing on my Sunday streams. Because the idea, it wasn't good. So I tried to keep with it for a little bit too long there. I should have restarted it a bit sooner. But here, with this one, I could believe in the idea. The composition was fine. The outfits I thought looked nice. So I knew that as I rendered things, got our proportions looking a little bit better, all that good stuff, that it would eventually look okay. I could believe in that. That's kind of the difference, and being able to know when it's good and when it's not, it can be tricky. But I do think it comes with experience, so I'd err on the side of finishing your drawings, even if you're not sure. Because there could very well come a time, or even though it's been hard to work on for a while, that something just happens and suddenly it's easy. Suddenly you can believe again. For me, it does tend to be pretty sudden. I'm just like, oh, yeah, this is okay. Let's go. Better do something like this, actually. I had to think about that for a second. I'm gonna let these bits of hair kind of merge together a little bit more. I think this looks better. Oh, and I have a little hole here. Let's fill that in. Okay. And then my hand is starting to cramp up a bit. It doesn't hurt yet. So I think I'm okay. I'm gonna stretch my fingers real quick, just to stop it from getting any worse. And this tells me that once I finish off the hair here, I am gonna try to get the side part here that I skipped and the back. We'll see how my hand holds out. But yeah, I'm not gonna try to do anything else beyond just smooth out the hair today. It's taken a little while anyway, so... But I do want to try to finish that. And then next time, we're gonna do some hair sights. And it'll be great. I am looking forward to it already. Man, am I gonna be able to wait a week for it? Oh, we'll see what I'm doing the rest of the week. I do really want to get that drawing of Ava done before her birthday, so... We'll see, but you know, who knows? If I just really feel like streaming, maybe there'll be some gorillas here and there. Gotta cough one moment. Blah. Okay. I can tell that the trees are starting to bloom in my area. The pollen! It's getting into my nose, and my body does not approve. Got the layer locked, right? Yeah, okay. Definitely want to double check that. It'd be such a shame to color outside the lines at this stage. Okay. So this side, I think I'm gonna let it be mostly light. I'll only let it kind of taper off into dark at the bottom. But I kind of like the way this is looking, the way it's getting a little bit darker behind her ear, but still very light. You know, it's only a little bit darker. Just a little. And then over here, starts transitioning into shadow as it goes around. I dig it. Alright. Now let's just get this bottom part here. And I'll go from there. I think this is looking great, though. I don't normally start putting lights and stuff like this into anything. I'm just trying it for this one. And we'll see if I keep the technique or if I just stick all bright highlights for the end. I could go either way at this point. So I'm just gonna try this method here where I add a few more lights to the beginning and then maybe a few less at the end. But I don't really know what to expect, honestly. I'm not sure which I'm gonna like better. And I don't think I'll know until I try it. Oh, you know. That's what this drawing is all about. It's all about science. It's all about trying things. Alright. So I do think I have this mostly smoothed here. Okay, so I think before I go and do the back, I'm gonna go ahead and do the side here. Oh, are those really the same color? They are. Fascinating. They look totally different to me. It's amazing how the colors around things can make the color look so different. Okay, and you know what? I think I'm gonna let those two kind of meld together. I think that's fine. And I will bring the lighter bit down here. And we'll just go around like that. And I'll keep these shadows here. I'll put a little one going through there. I think that's fine. It also makes it a little bit easier for me to draw, so works out. All right. Okay, and I think that's good for that. Now, this guy's gonna be kind of interesting, because most of this is just gonna be bright. I actually think that most of this looks pretty okay. It's basically just down here that needs a little bit of smoothing. And everything over here should definitely be using a lighter color and then get a little bit darker. So I'll do something like this. And I still want the rim through here to be very bright. Okay, I want to simplify that just a little. I feel like it's a little bit too complicated. And actually, for in between those, I want the lighter one. We're just gonna keep this area nice and bright. And you know what? I think that does it. Everything up here already looks pretty alright. So there we go. I think that's the front hair. Let's see if I can get the back done. And if I'm feeling real spicy, maybe the highlights. But, hand is, definitely getting tired. And like I said, it kind of hurt a nerve in my elbow from sitting weird. So, I don't want to push it. So once my hand starts saying no, I'm going to, you know, and not force it. I'm not going to force the issue. We're not going to do a repeat of last Sunday where I just really, really wanted to try to finish Nitty's hair, but, my hand just started barking so hard that I eventually just decided I physically could not, and it took that level of things to make me stop. No, not doing that again. That was a bad idea. Very, very much so. It's okay. We'll see how much I can do here. Honestly, I was just glad to find out that it wasn't carpal tunnel, because the first time I felt those pins and needles in my hand, I was extremely concerned. I was like, oh god, am I not going to be able to draw? What am I going to do on stream? But, no. Fortunately, it was related, but the other side. And just because of some silliness in my elbow. The fact that I can call it silliness is actually appropriate, because it is the same nerve that, but we describe as the funny bone. So... one of those amusing little coincidences. Okay, there we go. I think that does it. And you know what? I think I am feeling up for at least starting the highlights. No guarantee that I finish, but I would like to get them started. I don't know about over here. I think I actually have most of the highlights over there pretty okay, so I'll just add a little guy here. And I'll go from there. You know what? What does my artist sensei say about highlights here? Squares. Yeah, those kinds of shapes. Way less spiky than how I do it. So I'll try it like this for now. And I see that he does kind of blend the bottom. Generally. Okay. I'm just gonna go look through all of them. Oh man, I really love the hair on this one. I mean, look at that. Isn't that just fantastic? Okay. So I'm gonna save some of my ideas for proper science. So let's just get those kind of shapes in there for this for now. I'm gonna make this one a little bit less pointy on the bottom. Oh, you're not on that layer, huh? Okay. In that case, I think I still would like you to be a little bit less pointy, so I'll just make it happen. We'll make this one a little bit longer. And I'm gonna focus on the bright ones for now, so these little kind of more subtle ones I'll get in a little bit. The fact that her hair is white and that I had to use the same color to define kind of the highlights on the white side is making my life a little bit hard here, but I think I can make it work. I think it'll be okay. Okay, and this one I think I want to keep a little bit more subtle. Alright, so I'm gonna try shapes like this for this one. I do kind of like my pointy ones too, but no, like I said, we're trying some things. Just trying some things. Let's see, I think the additional highlights over here would actually be more in this area. I'm just gonna go ahead and scribble them on, because I think I want to keep them pretty tiny. So I think that's good. I don't actually think that this part should have any at all. I think right here can have a small one, but I don't want it to be that big. And I get the feeling I'll change the color of those, on the black side at least. But I'll just keep it like this for now, and I'll figure out what color I want them to be later. This is just fine for now. Just fine. It feels kind of weird to be using these little rectangular shapes, though. I'm not sure if I like them as much. They do look really good on that artist that I like, though, and I see a lot of people use them to great effect. So I'm curious to see what I can do. And what they'll look like in the end, or, you know, when I make the bottom maybe a little bit more blended in and that kind of thing. Okay, let's get some of these slightly darker ones in here. I'm gonna keep them pretty simple. I don't want to do too much. I just want to... Even that's a little bit too big, I think. I just want a couple of little transition colors. Maybe just something to add a little bit of extra light here and there. I don't actually think I like it here. Maybe just here. Let this guy have just a little bit of extra light coming through on him, without being quite as overpowering as this one. Okay, so something like that. I'm not quite sure how to use these little guys properly, so As far as I could tell, he just used them for like a little bit of extra hair texture and stuff. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's all I'm gonna do. It'll just be little subtle bits here, where I can just put in a little bit of subtle hair texture in some dark areas. I don't think that they actually look good in the light areas. Maybe it'd look good over here. Yeah, I think that's good. And you know what? I think her hair is looking pretty shiny here. And I don't think I want to color this side just yet. I would like to experiment with some colors later. But I think that hair looks excellent. So, you know what? I think I can be happy with what I've got. I want to turn her little ponytail back on, her little braid there. And so next time, I think is going to be hair science. And then with any luck, I can go in and finish her face. I was looking at the back of her head, and now I'm worried that I made it too small. I'm gonna take a look at that real quick. But, no, I think we're good. This already looks pretty long. What about back here? If I were to get the back of her head where I think it should be, it would be a little bit more like that. So let's see if her hair covers that. Sure does. Okay, so no, I think we're good. Yes. I mean, she's got to have a big brain. Where else is she going to put all her plotting? Very important. But I think it looks fine with her hair on. But I think that is where I will stop for today. I think I can be happy with the progress here. She's looking good. Yeah, and I think all her proportions still look fine. I think the costume design looks good. Not chunky in the center anymore. We'll just pretend like this hand is not a scribble. And it'll look good eventually, so don't worry about it. Alright, yeah, I think I can be pretty happy with that. So, I'll go ahead and stop here. Thank you all for coming, and I hope you're able to make something wonderful today. I will see you all tomorrow.